Scenes from the Spectrum, episode 31, playoff pressure.
Here's Ilyasova. Here's McConnell. Can he get it off? Yeah! And the Sixers win it! 7 seconds to play. Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet. Allen for the win. Yes!
Oh boy. Oh boy. Another game versus Celtics and another loss. Another year and more bench problems. It's been tough.
It's like the scheduled tweet. You just spoke it. You verbally spoke a scheduled tweet.
Yeah. How you doing today, Graham?
I'm hanging in there. It's been rough. I can't lie. It has been hard to find motivation to watch this team every night. And that's just the truth of it right now.
Yeah, it's definitely been tough. Giving you an episode a little late this week. We wanted to wait until the Celtics game was over so we could talk about that. But let's run through the headlines for today's episode. Sixers lose another game to the Celtics with a Jason Tatum game winner. The Sixers have back-to-back games against the Miami Heat. Dwayne Dedmon is the newest Sixer, and we are going to give our players who are under the most pressure in this year's playoffs.
Top five. That I might have a controversial take in there.
You might?
One or two.
Let's just get right into it. Sixers lose to the Celtics. Tatum game winner. Give me your first thoughts after coming away from that game and kind of what needs to be done going forward.
I definitely wasn't surprised. No lead is safe, especially with a Doc Rivers run team. That is common knowledge where, you can have 15 point, 17 point, 20 point, 26 point against the Hawks. Doesn't matter. You're gonna find a way to make it interesting, and that's what happens. And the Celtics happen to be just a great team. They're a great ball club. So
you had a 15-point lead the other night, and the Sixers said, "Hey, let's leave Al Horford wide open and let him hit 5 straight threes. Let's just let it happen." And
that's what
how they came back?
What is going on with this? With Al Horford just killing us.
I don't. He's on our team. He kills us. He's off our team. He kills us. Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. The Celtics dynamic duo. Jaylen Brown played all right, played pretty good, and then Jason Tatum just crumbled under the pressure, except for the game winner. And I tweeted out right before the Celtics' last possession. I said, "This Tatum game winner is going to feel like a shotgun to the chest," and it did. And then I thought the Embiid half-court shot went in, and I thought he got it in time, and I was screaming. But unfortunately, he got it off just a bit late, and it didn't count. But man, if that counted, I think we win in overtime if that counts.
Oh, you definitely give yourself a chance to break some hearts, and I think that there's no way we lose that game if Embiid gets it off in time. This is that one's tough because what hurts more, that one or the one against the Suns where it almost went in, but it was also in time. That's what it reminded me of. First thing I thought of was
I think this one hurts more.
Maybe. Because it actually
the Suns one definitely hurt. I remember we really wanted to win that game, but I think this one hurts more.
Yeah,
maybe
that is
bias, but
it's absolutely insane how unlucky you can get at times.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about a few specific players here. First off, I want to start with PJ Tucker. He had 16 rebounds in the game versus Celtics, 5 offensive rebounds. This was by far the best game of the season. He had a team high plus 21. And you kind of look at last night's game and the backup center problems, and I think PJ Tucker is going to have to be playing 40 minutes in the playoffs, playing starting power forward and backup center, because there's nobody on this team who can play backup center except PJ Tucker. We tried to throw Paul Reed out there. That lasted only a couple minutes because Paul Reed just got absolutely manhandled out there on both ends of the floor, and he got taken out right away. And PJ Tucker had to go in there.
Like, can PJ Tucker go the distance though? Can he continue doing that? Can he do that in the playoffs? Can
I think
he,
so.
let's say, like, we have the tendencies to not put teams away in the first round. If we have we play in the first round, I don't care who it is. Like, let's say we are the 3, we play the 5. Let's just say right now
6.
it's the Knicks.
We would play the 6 if we're 3.
But let's just say it's the Nets for this example. PJ Tucker does what he does, plays well in the first series, but the Nets win 2 garbage games. Like, we just give it to them. That happens. The Sixers have a tendency to do that, right?
It happened against the Raptors.
Exactly. Happened against the Raptors. Happened against the Wizards a couple of years ago. It's just like you can't sweep them. You can't get them in 5, and if you do, it is a war of 5 games.
Yeah.
PJ Tucker can be good for that. Second round, after game 2, after game 3, what is he like? That's the one thing. And there's no doubt PJ Tucker can do it for a game or 4 or 5. Can he do it, 10 times over 14 days, 15 days? I don't know if he can.
It's hard.
That's
what
hard,
especially
is I don't know how to say this. It's just we were fake trade deadline day.
Yeah.
Because we know PJ Tucker can't do that 10 times in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, it's hard, especially if you're going to put him out there for 40-plus minutes as a guy who's 38 years old or 37, one of the two. But it definitely that's damaging. Like you're tired. That's tiring, playing 40-plus minutes in every single playoff game. That's tiring. But the game against the Celtics, he came with all the energy. He lifted the team up when they needed it, and all the hustle plays. I mean, last night or the other night against the Celtics, that's exactly why you pay him $10 million a year. That's exactly what you're asking for. He hit 2 threes, 2 out of 4. He gave you 16 rebounds, which is by far a season high for him. But
yeah, I mean, look, he can be really well for a game. Like a game, he can give you what you need. Sometimes he's just gonna go out there and go through the motions, which you just have to live with it.
Yeah.
But he can't do that in the playoffs. He can't just go through the motions of the playoffs. But he also could give you a game. And I don't know if we are a team where we need PJ Tucker to get that amount of offensive rebounds in order to be successful. I don't know if that's like a necessity.
We have the talent on the roster to where we don't need that.
Yeah, I agree, but it doesn't look that way, does it?
The talent
on paper, you think you should be fine.
Sometimes the talent doesn't show up, and I'm not even talking about the Sixers starting lineup. I'm not even talking about that because our starting lineup manhandled the Celtics. I mean, all of our starters had a positive plus minus, every single one of them. The bench, and it's been a problem year after year after year after year. Elton Brand couldn't fix it, and Daryl Morey, he hasn't fixed it.
Oh, well, Daryl's might have made it worse.
It's year after year. I mean, you only give Shake Milton a minute and 48 seconds in last night's game. Tyrese Maxey is giving you absolutely nothing. Why can't you throw Shake Milton out there? There comes a time where you have to bench. You're going to either try out Maxey back into the starting lineup or just bench him for the whole game. I mean, that's damaging to his mental, but like, come on. You cannot let this guy, Tyrese Maxey, just get beat on the defensive end and then struggle to find his own shot because he's not a good shot creator. That's not what he does. He needs other plays around him, like Harden, like Embiid, to get going, and he cannot do that. And he just looked flat out bad. He looked bad.
Yeah, I want to talk about Shake Milton real quick, and I'm going to pose this question: Is that have we failed Shake Milton, or has Shake Milton failed us?
I think it goes both ways. I believe so, because there is times where we have failed Shake Milton, and there has been times where Shake Milton has failed us. I mean, you look at, I would say, I think it was the playoff series against the Hawks where Shake Milton won us a game. There could be a time in this year's playoffs coming forward where you just need that Shake Milton game, and he can't give you that if he's getting no minutes. I don't see why he's out of the rotation. I don't see why.
Yeah, we are definitely in need of a Shake Milton game. Another one is where you talk about Maxey, and we talked about the starting lineup. We talked about him on the bench, but really, Maxey playing bad does not equate to DeAnthony when he plays good. Like Maxey's worst day and DeAnthony's best day, you're going to take that 10 times out of 10 if that happens for the team, right? So if Maxey plays bad but Melton plays good, this team is better off with Melton getting majority of those minutes, especially from the guard, because of the way that he can defend. And in a playoff series, you got to look at a way you have to start Melton. You have to. Defensively, it's a nightmare with Maxey and Harden really starting games. Harden, I feel like his defense gets better as the game goes on because he's usually not locked in on defense, especially in the beginning of games.
You know what I think it's time for?
What?
I think it's time for Doc Rivers to show us that third starting lineup. We don't know what it is, but I think it's time for him to bring out a new starting lineup.
I would think it has to include both Maxey and Melton.
I think it would be the 3-guard lineup of Harden, Maxey, Melton, either Toby or PJ, and then Embiid. Which we've seen that in the middle of games before, and they've done all right. I mean, nothing crazy, but they've done fine. I'm just very interested in seeing what this third starting lineup is, and I want to see it. I want to see it. I think everything's on the table right now.
I think I know what it is.
What would you say that is?
I would say it is Harden, Maxey, Melton. Like, it has to be that. Mm-hmm. It has to be Harden, Maxey, Melton, and it has to be Embiid at the 5. Non-negotiable, right? And that leaves the 4. And it's got to be PJ Tucker.
Yeah.
You need another roamer. You need someone that can play help defense, that is a good communicator. Tobias Harris is none of those things. And so, especially when you have Harden and Maxey on the floor together, in a lot of these teams, but their best players are guards. You're going to go against a Jalen Brunson, a Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum type of player. You're going to go against some ball-dominant Donovan Mitchells. I mean, there are plenty of these guys that are out there in the Eastern Conference, and you're going to need someone over the top rather than Embiid getting in foul trouble. You want DeAnthony Melton to lock down somebody. A lot of these teams have more than one or two threats. So that's why I feel like it doesn't make sense for Tobias Harris to be in the starting lineup in the same one as the 3 guards.
Yeah. And another player that I want to talk about is Georges Niang, because, oh my God, can this guy not show up in big games? He never does. In last year's playoffs, he never did. In big games this year, he's not showing up. I mean, he was flat out. He was horrible. He took 2 threes, 3 shots in total, missed them all. I mean, the only reason you're here is to just chuck threes and make them. If you're not making them, Doc, take them off the floor. I tweeted the other night and I said, Doc, take Niang off the floor. Take Maxey off the floor. When a player isn't their night and you need to win that game, you have to do everything in your power to help this team. And Doc, I don't feel like he did that against the Celtics. You watched with your own eyes players just sabotaging your own team, and you made 0 adjustments to the lineups at all. it's frustrating. And another thing with lineups is, you're on the last play of the game. You need every best defensive player out in the court. And I get that Jalen McDaniels hasn't played all that well, but you got to have him on the floor for that last shot. I mean, he did a really good job on Jason Tatum all night long, but you decided not to have him in the game and have Melton guard Tatum for that last shot. And I know Melton is a good defender, but Jalen McDaniels showed all night that he could guard Jason Tatum, and you didn't have that for the last shot, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to go with the style or the speed of the game of where it's at and the feel. I don't know if McDaniels was up to it at that point. Obviously, looking back, you'd like to have him there. I would have put him in personally at that point. It's just a judgment call, and I mean, Doc made a bad judgment call. It is what it is. It's definitely not the first time it's happened. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, also, like, I'm not sure if he moves the needles too much that you have to make a defensive change for him. I mean, is he really that good? Like, I know he might be better, but I don't know if he is good enough to disrupt whoever the personnel grouping is on the court to put him in for 7 seconds of defense. I don't know if
I
he's
think
that good of a defender.
Sure, but I think last night he proved all game that he deserved to be out on the court when you need defense. He proved it all night long. Jason Tatum had a bad night, and Jalen McDaniels was a big reason for that. So, I I don't get the thought process behind it.
Yeah, and I really think that McDaniels can help this team, but I feel like he proved more of that he can play with a high motor more than anything. I don't know if it
Yeah.
is something you can pinpoint on his defense or his offense. I think it's his motor that really showed, and obviously he's going to help on defense. But he also, like I said, he's definitely a good defender. He has his things where people like to overrate him as a defender, especially Sixers fans since we traded for him. And yeah, it is what it is when you look at how this team is going to be structured and how Matisse Thybulle is no longer on the team. It does raise questions about what the replacement is and how that's going to be used.
Yeah. What do you say? Like, what changes could you do with the roster that we have to make sure stuff like the other night against the Celtics doesn't happen again? Like, what do you do? Like, your bench is giving you nothing. How are you supposed to do anything with that?
Well, I mean, with the bench, it's just you have to look within. It's very centric moving where you know you have to look in the mirror sometimes and ask who wants to be out there. And sometimes Sixers teams, especially benches, look like they don't want to be out there. And we've seen it so many times, but really in the playoffs, I don't expect it to be too much of a problem. I don't know if we're going to be playing Niang so many minutes that, it hurts us. I mean, you can play 8 minutes, but really, if you don't play good for 8 minutes off the bench, it doesn't really hurt you.
We're just asking Niang, like, especially in the playoffs, to come in like for 8 minutes, like you said, and just hit 1 3, 2 threes. That is all we're asking of him.
You mean in
But
the game or in the series?
in the in the game,
Because let
definitely
me
in the
remind
game,
you what he did in Utah against the Clippers in their
he
6-game
was
series.
bad in the
Um,
playoffs with Utah. He was
yeah, he
bad.
made 2 field goals and 1 3. He
Yeah,
missed in that playoff series. He missed his last 7 threes
yeah.
across 5 games.
Yeah, you like look in playoff time. If you're not getting anything off the bench, you are looking at playing all of your starters 40 plus minutes. And that puts wear and tear on your body. That tires you out. I mean, I have a lot of confidence in our current starting lineup right now because they played so well and they flat out beat the best team in the league. The bench is where you got killed. And that is what's going to happen in a playoff. Your bench is going to get killed. you have to have Harden or Embiid on the floor at all times. And they were last night. Harden played 41 minutes, but you really didn't get anything out of Harden. He had 21 points, but shot 5 for 16. Shot 2 for 8 from 3. He made all 9 free throws. But we need a little more. We need way better efficiency out of Harden.
I'll ask you this. So, from the game specifically against the Celtics, what are you looking into more as a storyline? Is it the starters playing the way they did, or is it the bench being bad?
Obviously, I would like to look more into the positive things, but the negative things, like the bench playing so bad, that just like takes it off for me. I think that's a bigger storyline because that's going to kill you in the playoffs. It's just going to kill you. That's
So
what's
you're
going to
saying
lose you
it
a series.
outweighed. It
Yeah.
outweighed.
Mhm.
Okay. Which is, I mean, it's kind of on cue with how the game it went. So yeah, look,
like that was a playoff game. That felt like a
for
playoff
sure.
game. Absolutely.
I mean, it was 100% a playoff game. The atmosphere was playoffs. The coaching decisions were playoff ish. Obviously, it's going to be bumped up a couple times, especially that remind me of a game one of a playoff series.
Yeah.
It wasn't a game
Absolutely.
4, game 5, game 6, but it was a game one of a playoff series.
Absolutely.
That is what it reminded me of.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sixers, like I said, I think that the Sixers are going to ask their starters to play 40, 42 minutes, 44 minutes a game in the playoffs. And
Which
I
I
think
think they could. Harden has been playing. He was leading the league in minutes for a little bit there. PJ Tucker's, I think he's fine with playing 38 plus minutes. I don't know if I want Tobias Harris playing 40 minutes, but I mean, what other option do you really have? I think I'm fine with our starters playing 40 plus minutes.
in reality, this team has too many holes to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And every road basically right now leads to a second round exit.
I disagree on us having too many holes. I just think it's one hole, which could mean a lot, but the one hole is our bench. I'm
Yeah, well,
fine.
you have the bench, then you have
I'm
the
very
overextension in
confident,
minutes. You have the overextension in minutes with Tobias and PJ. You have to pick one to give too many minutes to,
which
and
I'm
that's not
like
a situation you want to be in.
Tobias hasn't played bad at all the last few nights. I mean, last night or the other night against the Celtics, he played great. I think he had a good game. I mean, he hit 2 threes pretty quick. They were pull up transition threes in that first quarter. And then you look back to Thursday night, I think it was Thursday night against the Grizzlies. He hit 4 threes, which was an amazing comeback, by the way. We haven't really talked about that much, but that Grizzlies game, that was kind of a Tobias game. He hit 2 very clutch shots in that game. He had 3 threes. He shot 66% from the field against the Celtics. He had 19 points. He was a plus 18. That's a good Tobias game. If we're getting that out of Tobias in the playoffs, I'm fine with that. I can't complain.
Do you think we get that out of Tobias in the playoffs?
I don't know.
I think we
Because
get one game of that. I think we get one game a series of Tobias.
see, we could get this Tobias that we have right now, or we could get game 6 versus the Raptors Tobias, where I think he missed 11 threes. So there's 2 different Tobiases that we could get. Which right now I'm leaning towards thinking we're going to get current Tobias Harris in the playoffs, which I'm praying, because I think that's one of the most important players that if they're playing well, I think your team's going to win. Because Embiid's going to play well, Harden's going to do his thing, PJ's going to run around and do everything. Melton is whatever. I think he needs to shoot more, but Tobias is that guy where if he's off, it's bad. It's really bad.
Look, I really think that we see neither what the Tobias at his best and Tobias at his worst. We just get Tobias Harris. And the reason because of that is he's going to make his shots. He's going to miss his shots. He's just going to be Tobias. It could win you a game for sure. I don't think he can lose you a game, which is
I
good
think
until the fact that you need a win.
I think he could lose you a game. I think it's pretty possible.
I don't think if he's playing bad, you have other players to take the ball out of his hands. In years past, we did not because we had a passive point guard and we had streaky shooters with Tobias playing 40 plus minutes.
Yeah.
And we didn't have as much as a post presence with Embiid in years past. Embiid wasn't a post up guy as much. He was more perimeter oriented and he wasn't necessarily taking shots away from Tobias. So I think that he can't really lose you a game. I think he can win you games. But I think that his ability not to take over, not to be a closer is going to hurt you in the long run because somebody is going to have to take those shots. And for the Sixers, and in the current day NBA, this is, this is a hot take, but in the current day NBA, to win and be successful in the postseason, you can't have your big man be the closer. And we saw that in the Hawks series with Embiid's turnovers at the end. If you want to be good, your guards have to close games.
Well, I think Embiid's a way better player now than he was in that Hawks series.
He's still not a closer.
Yeah, I mean, we do have guys on this team who can hit some pretty clutch shots in crunch time. And we've seen it.
Too easy. It's too easy to get doubled and triple teamed in the post and turn the ball over, and especially if you try and dribble your way out of it. So
which is going to happen in the playoffs. Embiid is going to get tripled every game, every possession.
Sure.
So we're going to need guys to hit some tough shots and play very well
and handle the ball.
Asking anyone other than Embiid to come up big in the playoffs is scary, especially when you have James Harden on your team.
Yeah, I mean, if Harden is 20 and 28 points, 8 assists, we lose.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what he averages during the season, we lose. And that's the same thing he did last year.
I think D'Anthony Melton needs to take more shots.
I think that, okay, you could say that. I think that he needs to be more offensively than just a shooter.
Yeah.
Like a 3-point shooter. If he's just going to sit there and, make or miss threes, be, 33%, 40% from 3-point range, we already have Niang to miss those. Like, we don't need anybody taking up more misses.
D'Anthony Melton is a very, very poor finisher at the rim. So we can already say he's never going to do that because he sucks. He just sucks at it. He can't finish around the rim.
Yeah, we already have Tobias to do that as well. So, look, I think that, D'Anthony Melton can be at times poor, but I would love to see him be more involved in a pick and roll game. I would love to see him draw attention from a defense and pass out of it, become more of not necessarily a playmaker, but a secondary like handler I'll say it, a secondary offensive initiator. That's what I think Melton can be. That doesn't necessarily mean shooting. That could be, taking elevator screens, backdoor cutting, throwing lobs. He can be what I would like if I would like to see Melton, whoever is guarding him, which is usually going to be someone that is not great on ball, usually good off ball defender, whoever is guarding D'Anthony Melton, what we've played. I would love to see Embiid be a ball handler and Melton be the screener in a pick and roll.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I think that is something that could work, especially if a team plays with a lot of on-ball pressure, like the Boston Celtics. Make them pressure Embiid in a mismatch, and then Embiid's going to draw 50. So what the Jazz did, the Jazz play very tight defense. You put Embiid with that type of pressure with a mismatch, he's going to drop 60. So
yeah. What do you like?
That's one thing I'd like. I think Melton can pull it off. I think Melton has the skill set to pull that off.
Yeah, I think Melton could contribute a lot more than what he's giving right now. I definitely think so. But What do you what would you like to do with Tyrese Maxey? What do you think is the move here? Is it going to that third lineup? Is that just putting Maxey back into the starting lineup for Melton? I know we talked about this a little bit, but like I feel like we're not talking about it enough because this guy's just bad. Like he's just playing bad. There's no other way to put it. There's really no
Look,
other way to put it.
I'm playing Maxey with James as much as you possibly can without starting him.
Yeah. I think he needs James and Embiid as much as you can, but
If he wants
obviously
to play with Embiid, he's gonna have to get hot.
yeah.
I mean, we can't waste Embiid minutes with Tyrese Maxey trying to get out of a funk. We're
Yeah.
just
I
not
mean, there was
in this stage of the season. We just can't afford that.
yeah. I mean, he had 8 points. He shot 4 for 10 from the field and shot 0 for 2 from 3. I mean, there was times where he was so hesitant to take a 3. And he just made poor decisions and played horrible defense. And we've known he was a bad defender, so I'm not going to really get on him for that. But like, we need more. And we're going to get that one game in the playoffs where Maxey just goes nuclear. I mean, we had that last year against it might have been game 1 versus the Raptors. Or it might have been game 2 or 5. I'm not sure, but there was one. We're gonna have that one Tyrese Maxey game where he goes nuclear, which I think we need that more. We need it more. He hasn't really been doing that this year.
With the way that Tyrese Maxey is currently playing, he's a strikingly bad bailout shooter.
Yeah.
Which like he can't just make a shot. Jason Tatum, he can just make a shot. Jason Tatum is the ultimate bailout shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can play great defense on Tatum, and he gets a shot off with like 2 on the shot clock, and he makes it.
Like
you
that
can
game
play,
winner last night.
You can play impeccable defense for 20 seconds, and then he'll still make a shot. I don't know if Maxey does that. I don't know if Maxey can withstand 15 seconds of just really good defense and still make a shot.
Yeah.
I don't think he can do that. And like you could have bad games and still make big shots. As Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum before that shot was 6 of 16, 2 of 7 from 3, was 15 points in the most crucial game really of the regular season. He sucked. He was terrible, but he bailed out. He bailed himself out. Maxey needs to learn how to bail himself out because we just have stinkers. I mean, that's all it is. We just have stinkers. If Maxey can't bail him out, we just have detrimentally bad games.
We really cannot afford Maxey to play like this in the playoffs. We cannot afford it. Just flat out cannot. And if he continues to play this way, he will get benched in the playoffs, I think.
I wouldn't say what are you saying, benched as he comes off the bench or he just doesn't play minutes?
I'm overreacting. Doc would never bench him, but no, I mean like just benched, like to just sit on the bench, but
like limited minutes.
Yeah, but Doc won't do that because of Tyrese Maxey.
He might.
I love it. If Maxey just having a stinker in the playoffs, just hey, sit on the bench for the rest of the game. I don't care.
Yeah, he needs to be held accountable for it, and I think he is with being on the bench. He's not in the starting lineup, so I mean, he is technically being held accountable for playing very bad.
Actually, when you look at the numbers between Maxey in the starting lineup and Melton in the starting lineup, the numbers are significantly better with Melton in the starting lineup. So I think it's fine to. Obviously, people are angry at Maxey still benched, but if you just look at the numbers are significantly better. That's one of the reasons why we've been the hottest team in the NBA since like early December. That's right around where Melton was put in the starting lineup. I mean, there's a reason why this team's so hot.
Like D'Anthony Melton brings so much to this team offensively, but more importantly, it creates matchup problems both offensively and defensively.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. I mean, like Maxey is a great offensive player, but he's not necessarily a matchup problem.
Yeah,
there's plenty of defenses built to stop like non-playmaking, minimal shot creating guards that are fast. Like there's so many different Tyrese Maxeys in the league, some better, some worse. Like, but there's
Manuel
there's
quickly.
there's a defensive scheme for every offensive Tyrese Maxey in the league, and there's like 15 Tyrese Maxeys. So,
Yeah.
but there's not many DeAnthony Meltons who are shooters, but also very athletic and fast, and that creates a matchup problem offensively. Defensively, he can be great on ball. He can hold his own off ball, but really what he can bring is lockdown. But again, if the offense is not there, you have to ask questions about DeAnthony Melton.
Yeah.
Because how long can he really play him?
Which it seems like he's been playing like 26 minutes a night. He's basically playing split minutes with Maxey right now. They're both playing basically the same amount of minutes. And then you'll have some games where Maxey, you'll have like 7 or 8 more minutes.
Well, which would be funny because if you play Boston in a series, what they should do is put Grant Williams on Melton, have very, very small help defense, and have Williams turn Melton into a driver and see if he can finish over somebody 5 inches taller than him.
And he will never. He won't.
That's the problem you run into because nobody's doing that in the regular season. But you get to Game 5 of a playoff series, and they might. So there's that to look for. What if Melton turns into a liability where teams can take advantage of that, which they haven't. I mean, when Melton's played bad, he's just missed shots. It's not a defensive scheme or nobody's locked Melton down. He's just missed shots. But if there comes, a day and a time where Melton has a couple, games where they're just taking advantage of him, he doesn't belong on the court. Doesn't matter how good his defense is. If you can't produce offensively, you're just not going to play. That's Matisse Thybulle. So, I mean, nobody's the perfect defender. We've seen Rudy Gobert cost his team series defensively. So, maybe defensive matchups are a bit overrated in the playoffs. It is what it is. There's so many ways to beat a team offensively.
I think it's time to talk about a player who hasn't even touched the court yet that we signed pretty recently, Dwayne Dedmon. And
who?
Dwayne Dedmon. He played for the Heat. I don't even know at this point.
Is he like the Ryan Ellis of the Sixers?
He might be.
My Flyers fans get that reference. Shout out the Flyers losing 7-0 to the freaking Devils.
That I just saw the notifications just kept popping up. Flyers down 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 7-0. Oh my God, that team. Oof. We don't have to talk about that team anymore. I never want to talk about that team.
Yeah, that's it. That's enough.
That's all we get. That's all you get for the rest of the year. Could Dwayne Dedmon provide anything in the playoffs? I mean, with the Heat, when he was on the court, he was the biggest negative I've ever seen in my life. So, except for DeAndre Jordan. So, I don't know. Daryl Morey said he's comfortable in the playoffs with Paul Reed, Dwayne Dedmon, and PJ Tucker as the backup 5. Never even mentioned Montrezl Harrell's name because, I mean,
I'm glad he feels that way because I certainly don't.
Montrezl Harrell is basically dead to all of us. I never want to see him on the court.
He's going to get a lot of DMPs.
Yeah, which he hasn't played since the trade deadline, right? I think.
If he has it, I haven't noticed it.
He's played garbage minutes, but like since the trade dedeadline, he's been getting DMPs.
He hasn't played
meaningful. Good job, Doc. He did something good for once. Let's go, Doc. Could Dedmon give us anything? Or are we just talking about trash?
No. Dedmon's not going to do anything good. I think that we were failed miserably in the
trade deadline.
I
think I would have to disagree. I mean,
who did we get that moved the needle?
I think McDaniels.
What happened? What move happened that we were better from the trade deadline than we were to begin?
I think McDaniels was a very sneaky pickup. I think he was a very underrated pickup.
Does he move the needle?
Answer I don't know yet.
He does not move the needle.
I couldn't tell you yet. We've only played like 8 games with him. So I don't know. I want to see him in a playoff setting first. That's which
I'd rather not be my judgment of a player, but
I mean, he's
young. Let's just see what he does in the most important games of the season.
I mean, he did have like the worst plus minus on the team last night.
Yeah, I mean, like he's a good player.
I didn't even think he was that bad, but
is he that much better than Matisse though? That we're just like, oh my gosh,
I mean, the offense is night and day between them.
Yeah, but is he that much? Is he that much more valuable than Matisse to a team? That we're just better.
I just think Matisse just didn't fit, and McDaniels is a way better fit than Thibault.
So you're telling me, we were 1.5 games out of first place. We were rowing the hottest team in the NBA, and we exchanged 8th men off the bench because we wanted one that had a better fit on the team, and that was the move we made. You don't think that's a bit?
They were trying to get under the tax, which helps for next year when you want to give James Harden money.
Okay, you want to get under tax to what? Keep Embiid happy? Because that's not going to do it.
There's been surprisingly a lot of talk about if we disappoint in the playoffs and Harden leaves, teams are going to be sniffing around to see what Embiid
for
does.
Embiid. Would you blame Embiid for requesting a trade?
No,
if we don't make to the Eastern Conference Finals.
No, but I don't think he ever will. I really don't think he ever would. That's just my honest opinion.
I don't think he would either. But
it wouldn't surprise me. And if we disappointed,
about.
If we disappoint in the playoffs and it's not his fault and Harden leaves, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I wouldn't hate him. I understand if you want to go have a real chance somewhere else where the front office actually does everything in their power to give you the best team, then go ahead. Because currently, I don't know, we just haven't done that. And we've tried though. Like it's not like we haven't tried. We have tried. We traded for Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler. We tried with Al Horford and Josh Richardson, which that was a joke of a year, but we got James Harden and we're trying. I mean, it's not like Daryl isn't trying. It's just hard. It's hard to find the right.
I mean, pieces. For sure. I mean, like we got Danny Green for Al Horford. Like
Seth Curry.
Those are big. Those are big trades. Yeah, we got.
Yeah,
Seth
what
Curry,
happened? What happened to the Daryl Morey that was sending away Al Horford and getting Danny Green and trading Josh Richardson for Seth Curry? What happened to that Daryl Morey?
He's washed.
All right.
The Daryl Morey does not exist anymore.
Is it time to move on to the end question of the night?
Yeah, I think so. We'll go 5-1. We'll go 5-1. So we'll each do our 5. Then we'll each do our 4.
Yeah.
I want you to start with your 5.
Who this season is facing the most pressure in the league come playoff time? We made our top 5 list, and my number 5 is a duo. I have a duo for my number 5. They both play on the same team. Is this
cheating?
No, I don't think it's. I mean, you could pick either one.
All right.
It's Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard at 5. I mean, the Clippers have done nothing but disappoint. Blowing 3-1 leads, disappointing. They've never won a championship since they came into the league, right? I think so.
Correct. They never won a championship.
Okay. It's time to win a championship for them. You have the right team. You have all the good pieces. You just disappoint in the playoffs, and I think they're going to disappoint again. But that's a really good team, that Clippers team. They're one of the most talented in the league, but sometimes they just don't have it. Like they can't do it. And you saw it the other night against the Sacramento Kings where they had the lead. They had a 10-point lead, I think with like 3 minutes left, and you lost in double overtime. You can't let things like that happen. So that's my.
Well, they also have the best player in the league on their team, Bones Highland.
Has he done anything
No, I
in the
don't think he's
Clippers yet?
played.
All
I
right,
don't think he's
let's
played
hear
much.
your number 5.
My number 5 is James Harden.
I have him way higher on my list.
I think that James Harden he has a good excuse if he plays bad, but I think that that shouldn't happen. I mean, he was here on the Sixers to do one thing, to be alongside Embiid and have a deep playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
If he can't do that, he's probably going to cop out and rot the rest of his career in a terrible situation in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, he's number 5 on the list.
Number 4 is I mean, I guess you could really switch 4 and 5 with this one, but at number 4 I have Jason Tatum. I get it, he's young. You might be surprised by this one, but he put up stinker after stinker in the finals last year. I mean, he's got to prove that he's that guy and not just that regular season guy who puts up great numbers. He's got to be that guy in the playoffs, and we didn't see that last year.
That's interesting because I don't have Jason Tatum on my list, but I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
He does have some pressure on him. My number 4, and again, this is a young player. Mine is Ja Morant.
Ooh, see, I was that was probably an honorable mention for me, but he didn't make the list for me.
2 seed in the West. 2 seed in the West. He talked crap about how
I'm fine in the West.
He put every other team in the Western Conference under the bus. So I don't know if that
he just put a target on his back, just a big giant target on his back.
So I think he has the most pressure out of any of the young guys. I think he has the most pressure out of the young guys being Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, those type of players. De'Aaron Fox. I think Morant has the most pressure out of any of the young guys, other than Luka, I guess.
You ready for my number 3?
Yep.
Chris Paul. Chris Paul has never won a ring. He's been to 1 finals in his career, and he's getting really old. I mean, would you call him a top 10 point guard of all time?
Probably.
Yeah.
But
I saw a question on Twitter today. Do you think Chris Paul is a top 5 point guard of all time?
No, not even
close. I would say no, but there is a plenty of pressure on him to do anything because he could wind up as one of the greatest players to never win a ring. He needs to win a ring. He absolutely needs to win a ring because I think this is the last year where you can get any kind of production out of Chris Paul. And they have a really good team around them. Devin Booker just traded for Kevin Durant. Haven't seen him yet, but there is plenty of pressure on Chris Paul.
Yeah, Chris Paul does have a lot of pressure, but he did make my list.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Joel Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get past the second round. Could be the best player ever not to get past the second round. So, yeah, that's one of the things for Embiid. You just got to get over the hump this year.
Yeah. My number 2. I didn't know like if we were allowed to do duos or not. I had 2 duos on my list, and number 2 is another duo, and that's Embiid and Harden. Harden, when you think about Harden and you put Harden and playoffs together, you get choke, because he has choked in big moments. He has come up short plenty of times. I kind of give him credit for last year because he was dealing with that hamstring injury and he was not the same player he is right now. But in years past, like the last few seasons with the Rockets, definitely some underwhelming performances there. And Joel Embiid, I mean, you look at a guy who's never gotten out of the second round in his career, and it's failure after failure. And I don't think you can really blame him all that much, but I think some blame goes towards him, and he's got a lot of pressure on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, them together, immense amount of pressure, and it's something that's not hard.
Nothing beats the amount of pressure this number 1 guy is feeling.
Yeah.
Let's hear your number 2 first.
My number 2. Hold on. One more thing on it, and then Embiid Harden. Your pressure is to literally meet expectation.
What is their expectations?
Eastern Conference Finals.
There you go.
Go to the Eastern Conference Finals. You meet expectations. The pressure's off of you. I mean, it's pretty easy. Like, it just hasn't been done.
Hey, make the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. That's my championship. My number 2, Kyrie Irving.
I wanted to put Kyrie on my list so bad, but no, I understand the reasoning for it.
Forced his way out. You teamed up with another superstar. He's going to be around the 6-5 seed. Got to perform in the playoffs. Have to. I mean, Dallas sent their entire depth for this guy. It has to work out.
It's a guy, I mean, he's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong, but he has done 0 things without LeBron James on his team. He forced his way out of Cleveland to go to Boston, did nothing. Got to sign with Brooklyn in free agency, did nothing. One of the biggest disappointments in NBA history was that Brooklyn Nets team, and the biggest what-if team. Forces his way out to the Dallas Mavericks. So he has a lot of pressure on him, and him and Ja were probably in that honorable mention spot for me. But we probably have the same number 1. Right?
I've already written yours down. I've been keeping track of yours, and I've already written down your number 1.
Yeah. It's Nikola Jokic.
Wow. Not the number 1 I was thinking of.
Who are you thinking?
Elaborate first.
Nikola Jokic, about to be a 3 times MVP, who has a horrible playoff record in the last 3 years. I get it. He hasn't had that much of a healthy team, but this is going to shatter his legacy when you look at it from 20 years from now, when you say, oh, wow, Nikola Jokic, 3-time MVP, back to back to back. Oh, he didn't do anything in the playoffs. Nothing. So, tons of pressure. I think he is the number 1 guy that has the most pressure on him. Who did you think I was going to say?
I could see that.
I'm surprised you didn't have him on your. You don't have him on your list?
No, I don't. And it crossed my mind, but I didn't. I don't feel a certain amount of pressure from.
No, if he doesn't do anything in the playoffs, it's gonna destroy his legacy.
Yeah, I mean, he's already made the Western Conference Finals.
You're talking about the bubble right now, where Jamal Murray was doing 360 behind the
right,
back,
and they are the 1 seed.
Twirl layups. Yeah.
I mean, I expect him to go to the Western Conference Finals because they're probably going to have a pretty easy path. But, yeah, I mean, there is pressure on Jokic, but I think my number 1 has a little bit more pressure.
Who's this?
Kevin Durant.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
He has the most pressure on anybody.
That's a good one. No, let me hear it. Let me hear it.
He literally just went to the Suns to team up with Book and CP. Like, I think there's another guy that's is he doing without Steph Curry?
Kevin Durant does have 2 championships, but they are probably the least important championships in NBA history because of that
least impressive championship I've ever seen. One of them is Kevin Durant's.
Yeah.
The other one is the Bucks.
The Bucks.
The Bucks have one of the least impressive championships I've ever seen.
Oh, let me think about the Bucks championship run real quick. They played, I forget who.
They played a really bad team first round.
They played.
Don't even remember who they played second round.
Oh, they
got the Hawks as an Eastern Conference Finals, the worst Eastern Conference Finals team of all time, and they got Chris Paul in the finals. Literally does not get easier.
Who did they play?
I don't know who their first and second round team.
Let me look it up real quick.
I'm pretty sure they swept the Heat first round.
All right, Milwaukee's first round. Oh, their first round matchup, they swept the Miami Heat, who were not good that year. The second round was a great playoff series. I can't believe we forgot about this, against the Brooklyn Nets. They won in Game 7.
Oh yeah, the injury. They won the injury series. So they beat a really bad.
If it weren't for the injuries, Brooklyn was winning that 100%.
Yeah,
They dropped 2 games to the Hawks.
Yeah, terrible team.
I mean, the Bucks won that 4-2, and then they beat the Phoenix Suns, which I just didn't think Phoenix was all that good that year.
No.
So yeah, it was.
They were the injury winners of the West. The Bucks were the injury winners of the East. They played each other.
I think with every playoff run comes a little luck of other team getting injuries. I think that kind of happens to everybody, or not. If not everybody, then most people.
I think that one more so though than others.
Yeah. Wow, you didn't have Jokic on your. I'm really surprised. I thought you would have Jokic #1 on your list.
I think that he has pressure, but I think there's other guys that have more. I think Embiid has more pressure than Jokic personally.
Sure, but I mean, he's about to win his 3rd MVP and has done absolutely 0 things. I just think he has the most pressure because you're going to look, if you think about Jokic back-to-back MVPs like 10 years from now, you're just going to say that's not really impressive considering he did 0 things in the playoffs. So that's why I think he has a lot of pressure, because it's going to tarnish his legacy. That's really it.
Yeah, I wasn't really necessarily looking at it with that perspective. I was just thinking of, I don't think people expect the Nuggets to win a championship. Like, I don't know if they're
a lot of people do.
Other than Nugget fans. Like, I don't know if like the national media, like, I don't know if you're going out and picking the Nuggets.
I've been listening. I've been listening like to a lot of like basketball podcasts, like Brian Windhorst and Zach Lowe, I think his name is, and they're talking about the Denver Nuggets like they are the team to beat. Like they are that good, like a powerhouse. Which
personally, they're like 3rd in the West for me.
Why?
I'm just not that high on him.
Going back to Ja Morant, why would Ja Morant put such a big target on his back? That is probably the dumbest thing you could ever do. You're not even #1. You're not even the #1 seed in the Western Conference, and you're out here on national television saying, "I'm good in the West." I mean, come on.
I mean, that's just Ja. That's just Ja. I think he's gonna welcome it. Probably make him play better, if we're being honest.
You think the Grizzlies do anything in the playoffs? Because I think no.
Does Ja do anything in the playoffs?
Ja and the Grizzlies.
Oh yeah, I think they can make the Western Conference Finals.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. They have what it takes. They have a guard that won't necessarily play bad. He can have some incredible games. He's great with the ball, phenomenal passer. They have a big that is a defensive anchor. They have the tools.
Can I give you
they have to get around. They do have a, I'm very sorry for this it's a tough situation and it shouldn't be taken lightly, but Dylan Brooks is on their team. So they do have to deal with that.
Can I give you a really hot take about the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah.
Like a pipe and hot take.
Please don't say the Kings.
No.
Okay.
It's a team that's right under the play-in right now.
The Lakers?
I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers made it to the Western Conference Finals.
I knew you were gonna say that, dude. I knew you were gonna say that.
Hey,
yeah, there's no chance.
There's no chance.
There's no chance.
Dude, they just had such an impressive win against the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, come on. AD looked like a monster out there. He played so well. LeBron he got a little banged up that game, so I don't know what's up with him. But Jared Vanderbilt, I wanted him in a Sixers uniform so bad. He played so well. I mean, come on. I think that Lakers team could do it.
Yeah, I mean, I also watched Matisse Thybulle drop 14 on them. So,
come on.
No, they're good. They're better than what they are right now in the standings. They're better than the 11th seed.
Yeah.
I don't think they're better than the Mavericks, Clippers, Suns, Grizzlies, or Nuggets.
I just think the Clippers are going to find a way to disappoint.
I like the Clippers.
I don't think they're going to do much except get to the second round.
I like the Clippers less than the Suns, about the same as the Grizz. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about the Nuggets, man. I really not that high on the Nuggets. I think that
neither am I. I think they're very beatable.
Yeah, I think they're very beatable. I don't think it's I don't
Who
think
would
it's
you
very
say? Who would you say is the most overrated team in the league right now? Do you have an answer for that?
no. I mean, I think teams are pretty properly rated right now. Like, I mean, if I had to choose, probably the Nuggets. But again, it's not that hard to beat teams in the playoffs when their best player is a center.
And I just wanted to bring up something that I just saw from the standings that is probably really impressive. The San Antonio Spurs are on a 16-game losing streak. That's the most impressive thing that I see on the standings right now.
Yeah, they're one game back of actually. Wow, they're tied on percentage with the Rockets. They're both 28 games back of first.
I would love Wembanyama to go to San Antonio under Popovich.
Yeah, that would just be amazing. Yeah, they've lost 16 in a row.
Yeah,
Wow.
sorry, this episode's a little all over the place right now.
No, we're good. We're just chatting it up.
The Bucks are on a 14-game win streak, which the Bucks. Sorry, but the Bucks just don't scare me.
I mean, I think the Bucks would probably beat the Sixers if they play today in a 7-game series, but can they keep it up? If they go on the run a little too early.
I mean, they aren't a 14-game winning streak, so it's a little hard. But come playoff time, I think they're a very beatable team. Which we're gonna play either Boston or Milwaukee in the second round. If we win our first round matchup, it's just gonna happen. The Bucks are 0.5 games behind Boston. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. It actually would be a nightmare to play Boston in the second round.
Yeah, I really don't see us going to the Eastern Conference Finals, to be realistic.
I think we could beat the Bucks. Listen, I think the Celtics are beatable. I think we could beat them in a 7-game series.
You know how many times I've thought we could beat the Celtics in a 7-game series?
We only played them once, though.
3 times.
Once. No. I'm talking about in like the playoffs in the past, in the Embiid era. We only played them once. And that was Ben Simmons' rookie year. We were actually...
No, we played them twice. We got swept in the bubble.
See, I don't even care about the bubble, but you want to know something? The Sixers were favored in that series, Ben Simmons' rookie year. And we lost, what, 4-1?
Yeah, I mean that was the best chance we had to go to the Eastern Conference Finals because
the best chance we had was
on a Heat team that was overrated.
The best chance we had was 2021 when we lost to the Hawks. That was our best chance of getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. We absolutely should have, but specific somebody had a meltdown.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you. It's hard to have playoff success when your best player is a center. The Jazz, #1 seed, same year that we were the #1 seed, both lost in the second round because there's just ways to beat you when your best player is a center.
The Jazz?
When Rudy Gobert was their best player that year, they lost.
Not Donovan Mitchell?
Donovan Mitchell was an inefficient shot chucker with terrible defense.
What year are we talking about?
2021.
Oh, 2021.
That is inefficient shot chucker.
I remember Rudy Gobert getting exposed on the defensive end in the playoffs.
Yeah, he was a rebounding machine and the best defensive player in like NBA history that season, the regular season.
Yeah.
And he just got there's so many ways to go around and beat a big man. When the Nuggets made it to the Western Conference Finals, it was because their best player was Jamal Murray. They have not made it to the Western Conference Finals when their best player on the court was Jokic.
I don't agree with the center thing in the playoffs.
You can't build your offense around a center in the playoffs. Doesn't work.
Yeah, it can work.
It's not Shaq. This is not Hakeem Olajuwon anymore.
This is Joel Embiid.
It hasn't worked. Has it worked?
That's not his fault. Well, most of it isn't his fault. Most of it isn't his fault. You're gonna tell me it was Joel's fault because Matisse fouled a 3-pointer in Game 7 that made us lose the game.
I don't think we're in that position if we have a superstar guard instead of a superstar
superstar guard.
No, we don't. Not on this team. We do not have a superstar guard.
We have a star guard. I'll give it a star.
Yeah, we have a star guard.
He can be a
There's
superstar
just not an example of a center
since like Shaq, right?
Yeah.
Dirk was a power forward.
I mean, let's just say Dirk. Since Dirk.
Since Dirk, yeah. That
Like Kawhi was when the Spurs won. Kawhi was their best player.
Giannis for the Bucks.
Mm-hmm. Steph Curry, KD, LeBron.
I don't
Kobe.
agree with this. I don't agree with your point because there's been more, more. There's just been more like better guards than big men in the last however many years.
Yeah, well, I'm saying the best big men we've had in a very long time are here, and they've yet to shown up in the playoffs.
Who knows? Maybe we can win the finals this year.
I actually put Bam Adebayo as the best player in the court during the playoffs. You're losing 4 games. You're getting swept.
The Heat stink.
Yeah, but I mean, when Bam Adebayo was the Heat's best player, they got
swept
by the Bucks in 2021.
Yeah. I actually put a $50 bet down on the Sixers to win the finals. Was that a donation?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Nah, dude, it was literally like 20 minutes after the Eagles lost the Super Bowl. And I did it. And I tweeted it out and said, and then I added Doc Rivers and I said, it's your turn. It's not going to hit. But if it did, I would win $700.
The odds are not in your favor, but
they're not.
Wish you luck.
They're not. All right, give me a prediction. Who wins the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals? Who's your finals matchup right now?
Celtics, for sure. Best team in the East. Western Conference, man, this is really hard because I really want to say the Clippers, but I'm not.
Couldn't be the Suns.
Yeah, Suns.
That Western Conference is very competitive.
I really want it to be the Clippers or Grizzlies.
That would be fun.
I really want the Clippers or Grizzlies.
I think the Grizzlies in the finals would be hilarious. Which I think
I really like the way the Grizzlies match up against the Celtics.
I think the NBA champions.
You could take away Rob Williams. You could take away Rob Williams so easy with Jaren Jackson.
I think the NBA champion will come out of the East this year.
It's going to kill me to see the Celtics win.
They won't. Sixers are going to win. You ready for it? Hey, don't doubt them. Don't doubt.
I have a whole page.
They actually lead the league
of everything wrong with the Sixers.
This
is everything that's wrong with the Sixers.
They actually lead the league in 15+ point comebacks. If you didn't know,
the Sixers.
Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me. I think that
we have a ton of impressive comebacks this season.
We have a ton of those.
Like that Grizzlies game, that was insane. That was an insane game.
Oh man, when we talk next week, hopefully we're in better spirits, or I'm in better spirits.
Dude, that loss I was so upset the entire night. That ruined my whole night.
It took a lot out of me.
If the playoffs ended today, the Sixers would be playing the New York Knicks in the first round, which I think we would sweep them.
Yeah, that's 4-5 games.
They are tied with the Brooklyn Nets, actually, but the Nets.
I'd love to play the Nets. That's
Ben
why I used the Nets as my example earlier.
How crazy is that Ben Simmons is not even in the rotation right now? Have we ever seen?
I feel bad for him, low key.
Have we ever seen this before? Can you think of a player who peaked in their rookie year, except Michael Carter-Williams?
That's first game.
Yeah.
No, I really can't think of a player that's peaked in their first year.
And then just went downhill, just so quickly.
Mental, man. It's all mental.
Is it just mental? Is it the back? You think the back's still a problem?
The back, I promise you, the back is all right.
I mean, there's a I got a notification, I think yesterday, that he was going to miss the next couple games with like knee soreness or something. It's probably a made up injury. That's just sad. It's sad. It is sad to see that. Once upon a time, I was out there on Twitter ready to do
Like
anything.
I used to love Ben Simmons with all my heart.
Yeah, I had 2 Ben Simmons jerseys.
If you followed me on Twitter, like 2020, 21, I love Ben Simmons.
I was defending him on every tweet and pushing him to win Defensive Player of the Year award over I think it was Rudy Gobert that year.
Oh, dude, we're pushing nasty agendas.
It's crazy to see, and that sometimes I go look up my old Ben Simmons tweet, and I just like, wow.
You know what Ben Simmons tweet of mine is still getting traction? Is the one where I said that he was right-handed. Like, I still get retweets.
He is right-handed. Even JJ Redick said that he should be shooting with a right hand. Well,
yeah, I did see that. I did see that, and I can't believe JJ Redick put Ben Simmons on his podcast to talk about literally absolutely nothing.
That looked really bad for Ben. Like, that looked really bad for him.
Just get baby-fed questions like that. I could not believe it.
The questions were horrible. That was one of the worst interviews I've ever seen in my life. Like, the questions were bad, and they usually like have really good interviews, but they had to be like all soft on him for no reason.
Yeah, look. Oh, so much so that I made a cry for help.
Something is. It has 15,000 views. Wow.
Yeah, 15,000 views. And it is basically just lowlights.
Wow. It's crazy.
It's tough.
It's crazy. Yeah, we literally know. Do you think he gets traded in the offseason?
I don't think nobody is trading for Ben Simmons besides.
Do you? Here's something I heard. I think it was from Kyle Neubeck on his Clap Your Hands podcast that Ben Simmons should just retire after his contract's over.
Basically, yeah.
He clearly just hates
become a coach.
Basketball.
Actually, no, don't become a coach.
He just doesn't. He doesn't like basketball at all.
Yeah, I mean, be a stay-at-home husband.
To
get back massages.
Wait, they're not dating anymore.
Play Call of Duty 10 hours a day. Be a streamer. I'm sure people will watch eventually.
He's gonna have to turn off his chat though.
Ooh.
Imagine that. Imagine how what that chat would look like. All right.
I might have to log back into my Twitch account if he starts streaming.
I think, guys, is that
I got
all
some
we
things
have
to get off my chest, okay?
Is that all we got for today's
that.
episode? All right. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 31. 31 episodes of Scenes from the Spectrum playoff pressure. Are we at a year yet?
Yeah, we're at a year.
Wow. Happy 1 year.
Happy 1 year, Justin.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to follow our socials down in the bottom left. Graham, if you want to point to it.
Is it this way?
Yep.
It's going to be. Am I doing it right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because sometimes it messes up. It's weird.
At SFTS Podcast on Twitter. There's an underscore in there. And make sure to follow our TikTok. Show some love. Subscribe, comment, like, rating, whatever you need to do. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your week.